Good day, everyone. It is a actually very beautiful start of the week. I mean, I have the window mostly open this time. The fan's not even on to circulate air. It's actually really beautiful outside. Currently, I'm working on some editing. I got my skeleton outline here, and currently I am working on the video for technically this week that you'll see. That's not the right thing. Yes, I use Movie Maker. I mean, it works, and honestly, I don't need to do much. This is like vlog style, so, let's get to writing. I'd probably say that chapter 3 is the first time we actually chill out since chapter 1. Like, it's almost been go, go, go from the very start. But chapter 3 is a lot more chill, I'm going to be honest, as I was working primarily on the action scene in the basement. I actually ended up a little bit off the rails, which is fine. That's the point of having a skeleton outline, or some people might even call it a first draft, because technically it has all the main events, so, whatever. But there was a conversation that happened beforehand that kind of, brings light onto the characters. It's just like the little flourishes. That's how it should work, is that you go from just the skeletons to actually fleshing things out. And this isn't even like the end, because I'm going to end up rewriting everything. It'll probably get better. But yeah, chapter 3 definitely cools off a little bit, which is ironic considering it's about a water pump. So our first write-off this week has gone off spectacularly. 1,000 words in one session. I think that was like 30 minutes. So I actually wrote quite a lot. Like, it's impressive. It's like 2 pages worth of stuff. It was very exciting. I'm not even done. I'm at like one of the first action scenes. Technically there's an action scene in the last chapter, but like this is exciting. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break and we'll be back for that. You know how I said it was like nice outside? It is so nice. I have now opened up both windows fully and it's not even cold in here. And last week, it was really cold outside. Like, it was below, like, way below freezing. It was like negative 30, and suddenly it's like 40 and 50 degrees. Jesus Christ. What is with Midwestern? Man, at least it's nice. It's not, like, hot. Hot would be bad. Please stay like this. It's break time. Time to go to the pool. Oh my god, the geese. We got geese. So I believe I almost finished chapter 4 in this sprint, but I mostly ended up working on the queen herself, which I hadn't actually done much with because I had just thrown her in the monster section. I was like, I'll figure it out, and so I decided to figure it out. So yeah, it's Queen Stereosphere. Really weird name, but to be fair, most people just call her Star or Queen Fart. But yeah, her entire name is Queen Starferment Nightingale the Fourth. Long name, and she's also the longest ruler because of, well, side things that's been keeping her immortal. Actually, kind of 2 things technically. Now that I have like a bunch of books like planned out, but you'll see that later. We'll talk about that later. Anyways, she was definitely something that's not high priority because she's not in the current book, but she's definitely up there. So, kind of a side note, I actually did do some editing for the Project Genesis, and mostly in the monster tab, with some monsters that have already existed, like the True Survivors, who show up in chapter 2 and 3. But I mostly did her because I had her name written out, and she's the ruler of Staria, which is the country that Strummer inhabits, and so I had to have a little bit of a, chat of what she is. She's not important to the first book, but she will be pretty important to Silent No More specifically, because Silent No More goes with the Silence, which is a group that she specifically told to go take out ponies who do not agree with her, which ironically is mostly the east side of the mountains, because the further away you get from the capital, which is literally the farthest, I think, the southwest corner of the country, the farther you get, the more people revolt, which is kind of funny, and actually really true considering the power spread. But anyways, I did that. That's not a lot, but I also did a good amount of writing, and it is actually a very beautiful night again. I mean, we've got both windows fully open. It is a great night to write some more. let's continue. So, I like drinking water, but my water bottle doesn't like me. Oops, I kind of broke it. I mean, it still works. It's still a lid. It's just a little character now. As I've said before, Chapter 3 is more of a prelude. It was actually a question of, like, what did I actually want to do? Because there's a portal machine that they use in Chapter 5, which, as of recording this, I have not even started writing, but I will. They use it, and I could have just easily have explained it away with, like, a conversation and, like, reasoning, and then I didn't want it to come out of nowhere, so... Oh my god, we're breaking records today. 144. Oh my god, 1,440 words in one session. Oh my god, this chapter 3 is gonna be long. I'm not even freaking done yet. And technically it's 1,500 because I got a word tracker, which is amazing. And yeah, I've already done about 163 words, so that's almost 1,500 words in one day. That is like crazy. That I think is the absolute most I have done. Also, I love this tracker. I can't remember who I got it from. It was like a couple years ago. This tracker is great. It's just simple spreadsheet. The only thing I added is the overall to show like how much writing I've done, and it's been pitiable. That was the first year I did it, 2022. And yeah, it just went down. Hopefully this year will be different, because that's when I wrote my 2 novels around this time. And so I kind of like, curved off. Hopefully we'll have this year go whoop, because I'm now writing, a full-on novel. And like, did you see that? February is like almost full. So yeah. Whew, that was amazing. I am tired. it's not even 9 yet. Sorry. Google in my neck. Sorry, it's not even almost 9. That's crazy. Also, camera focus. Also, like, slight side tangent. If you didn't notice, I did add a 4th story. I had the Amidst the Ashes, which is the first one, which was originally Genesis, but then I obviously changed it. And then we have Silent No More, and then Seekers of the Divine. Silence No More is, basically, they're separate books just in the story, but Silent No More is more specifically, it's at the Capitol about the silence, which I'll talk more about once we get to the chapter where they're kind of more introduced. Then there's the Seekers of the Divine. Again, I'll talk more about that group too, but that's a little bit more directly after Amidst the Ash, because it follows Big Heart instead of Strummer, and then the Osprey's Revolt will be following the deer, because I just realized it'd be kind of cool to see it from a deer's perspective, because the deers are the ones that are fighting Staria, Osprey is, but like seeing it from the perspective of like one of their army men who then like revolts and turns, realizing like this is wrong once they get to Staria. That, because basically Osprey's not going to say it, but it's basically Germans from World War II. I accidentally made them German from World War II, but I mean, to be fair, it's a pretty good villain, especially, but that's why I want to make a book, to show that, like, not all of them are, it's just the government, because that's usually what happens in war. It's always the fucking government. It's never the people, usually. Anyways, I am going to probably read a book and go to bed, and I will see you tomorrow. Can you take a guess at what we're doing in art class? Folding paper. It's actually kind of fun. I got me some nice tea to go along with it. And this is actually really good. I love this peanut butter chocolate. It's really good. So I was doing my little homework while watching Kate, which is a great booktuber. Seriously, she's great. Sorry about the unflattering pause. But I was mostly doing the writing experiments, which started out with the I tried to write like. And I've always wanted to try that out myself. But I've never had like an author I've really wanted to. But Ray Bradbury stuck out to me. He's really good. I already write somewhat like him, but I don't write exactly like him. And I've been doing some research on a surprisingly credible source to actually link his quotes, and it seems like he writes sort of in 1 week with a short story. Like, Sunday is his brainstorm, Monday he writes, Tuesday he rewrites, Wednesday he has final draft, and then he edits for the rest of those. And then I think it's a rest on Saturday, which actually makes a lot of sense. Saturday, Sunday being sort of like less stressful. And so I could actually do that. And I could actually work that in because the next chapter coming up in Project Genesis, oh, there we go. If you can't tell, isn't it's less detailed. But that would mean writing at least 2,000 words on Sunday and then Monday, so then I could rewrite it. That would be an interesting experiment to have like one chapter that I have written and then rewrote multiple times and then edited. I've never done that, and that'd be very interesting because I wonder if he did that for his other stories. Is a big question of mine, but I might do that. If not, the other thing is I might do a short story, but that's for next week idea, so stay tuned for that. Currently I'm going to do a writing sprint for chapter 3, which we're almost done with chapter 3. We're like at the end tails, so this will be good. How do they run into it? And I'm like, so the portal's got to be at Flask Tech, because Flask Tech is the big technology thing, which is they build like everything. Their science facility ran originally by Acid Flask like 1,000 years ago or something. I ended up wanting to foreshadow it a bit so that in chapter 5, like 2 chapters later, the reader's like, hey, I know that. So it doesn't seem like it comes directly out of like left field. It actually feels like it was built up and like seen in the book. There's a fine line between oh, this already exists in the world and now you're just finding out about it, like in chapter 3, to this thing definitely just came out of nowhere. Which, of course, the fun part is specifically for magic, and I'll get to this when we get to the chapter 4, because that's where magic starts to actually take off a little bit more. I'm not focusing a lot on magic, so I've got to be careful about what I use for spells. Right, so I just wrote like an entire page. As I said, it wasn't actually that long. We left off on another ominous note. The water might not, they might run out of water, because this entire thing was about I probably already explained it was about a water pump, and so it wasn't actually about the water, but it might be. Ooh, keep it on edge. Anyways, as I said, I don't know if I'm going to do the Ray Bradbury thing. I might. I'll probably make a decision by the end of the week, and then tell you, probably actually on the voiceover. But considering I still have a little time, I might actually go into chapter 4, which, by the way, this is insane. I think this is week 2. I think 3 technically of me writing this, but this is like the second video. And so like that's 3 chapters in like 3 weeks. That's like a chapter per week. This is crazy. I might get this done in 32 weeks if I keep this pace up. So I'm going to continue writing and we'll go from there. The sun is setting. I got my root beer. My homework's done. Yes, that's my homework. And we got a blank page for chapter 4. Let's do this. Let's just, ooh, there we go. Now I can see better. So as I was just sitting here looking at this blank page, I was like, well, if I'm going to do Ray Bradbury, I should probably do a short story, not like a chapter. And I found this, which was a short story I did for technically a FNAF fan game that I had created that is done. I just never did artwork for it, so I never released it. But this is still a pretty good story. It's like 3,000 words long, and I mean, it's in rough shape, and I could actually do a rewrite for it, and so I could do that for like the weeks to just rewrite the story and then edit it, and then like it'd be done, and then I could actually like publish it, and it'd be my first published story technically, so that'd be amazing. So we might be doing that. Alright, there we go. Let's get started. Chapter 4 continues the saga that Chapter 2 and 3 both do. So when I'm doing the chapter titles, they're actually not going to be individual. They're like arcs. And so this one's the Nuclear Winter. And the Nuclear Winter arc is about survival. And Chapter 4 does that in spades, because we start out with Strummer and a group of ponies trying to protect the farmland from the survivors, which are, they're not really zombies. They're more like animal versions of regular ponies. Basically, they just want to eat and survive. It doesn't matter by what means. And so they're trying to defend it against them. They barely survive. They end up using grenades, if I remember correctly. And that's the realization that it's like, well, we need help. We need big help, but we can't communicate to the cities because all the cell towers are now down, so the phones do not work. The radios don't go that far. And so the only choice they have is to go into Omaha, which is the main city that got bombed, at least in their area, and go ask the giants, which at the time they only knew, at least the reader only knows about one giant from chapter 1, the end of chapter 1 actually. Strummer and the rest clearly knew about the two others, but they didn't know that there was actually 5 of them, technically 6 if you're counting Strummer as a giant, because of he got mutated and he became bigger, but not nearly as big as the 100-foot actual giant. And so yeah, they end up going to ask them, and we end up with like the whole Strummer and Big Heart end up getting separated, and Strummer almost dies. It was very emotional writing. I'm not gonna lie. I was actually fearful of my own character. And then, like for a moment, I'm like, oh god, he's actually gonna die, and I'm like, wait, I'm the writer. He can't die. There's still 31 chapters. I just find that funny that as a writer, because I was just sprinting, I was doing a very Ray Bradbury thing. I was just not thinking. I was feeling, and so I really got into the scene. It's really good when that happens. Oh my god.
So I just got done the sprint. I'm definitely gonna have some instant ramen, which I wonder if you can hear my kettle boiling in the background. Anyways, we got 792 words, which with the 500 we got earlier, that's about like 11,000, not 11,000, 1,100 words, which is actually really good. I'm kind of surprised. I mean, look at this. We got like a page and a half done. But yeah, I'm hungry, so I am gonna get some food and then probably go to bed. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.
So it's Wednesday, and I got more comics. I got the Young Justice stuff, which is, normal. They do free comic stuff like every Wednesday, and so I've got a lot of comics from that. But you know how I said I was probably gonna get one pop last week? Yeah, no, I lied. It's Ubel. Come on. Ubel's great. Let's get it open.
Alright, let's see. We should be able to get this open much quicker this time, because I know what I'm doing. There she is. Jeez. Oh, she's got a little stand. I wonder if it's because she's too top heavy. I would not be surprised. Look at her. If you don't know, she's a character from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. I swear, this is not turning into a Funko Pop opening channel. I found her before I found Rouge, but I wanted Rouge more because I knew I liked her. But honestly, they look really cool. It is funny that because her body is smaller, her stand, she needs a stand to actually stand, unlike Rouge. Oh, and she's even taller. That's funny. Anyways, let's get these guys on the shelf. I'm gonna put you right there, and put you back there. There we go. Nice. The sun is setting. It's so nice today. Nice to do homework, because I got homework to do. Got a good video, because I'm mostly drawing. I'm drawing ellipticals, so stuff like this. Which, speaking of which, my tea's done. I should get this tea. The sun has almost officially set. You can almost just see the dying light. It's still blue outside, but it's not reaching us. We've got the lamp on. I got my little sketch kind of transferred, and time to do some writing. Let's do this.
I just find it kind of interesting what I did for the overall chapters, because I ended up not wanting each one to have a title. I wanted them to have like a theme, kind of, which is why the first one is called Genesis, but then 2, 3, and 4 are all called the Nuclear Winter, and 4 ends kind of happily. But then chapter 5 just throws it all out the window. It's called On the Run. It's great. Honestly, I think that's a good thing, not having every chapter. First off, most places don't do that anymore, which is sad. But also, I think I know why. It can actually be pretty big spoilers. But having one overarching like name for a bunch of them is pretty good. And actually, looking back on all 32 technically chapters, it really shows that there's actually not a lot of story like arc going on between each small section, but as a whole, each chapter ends up coming together really well, and I like that. And I think the reason why that worked is because my skeleton outline is basically me going chapter by chapter. This is what has to get done. This is the beats that have to be, going on, and this is like the overall arch. So like the big brain stuff is already done. While I'm writing, I don't ever actually think about, oh, Strummer has to be like this here right now. I just think of, well, where's Strummer in this chapter or this scene? Like, where is he emotionally at this point? I don't have to think about the future unless I'm trying to forward shadow something. And in a lot of cases, I actually accidentally do that, which is cool. Actually, foreshadowing is it's a whole entire thing.
So we just got 1,019 words done. Most of it was the intro because my brain was not functioning for like that first half. So I'm like, if I'm not gonna be able to just write fast, which is literally a quote from Ray Bradbury, but it's how I write. If I'm gonna overthink it, let's go back to the intro, let's reread it and like rewrite it, because that's, for me, is intended to be overthought, and that's probably gonna be my thought process anytime I feel like my brain's not working, is to just go back there and like rewrite and describe and extend and stuff. So that intro might actually get pretty long. But I did eventually like wake up and do some writing. I think it was about 600 words of chapter 4, which is not bad. We're actually, I think, 3 pages in, yeah, to chapter 4, and we're getting to like the beef of it, and I like it. So I am I'm tired. I'm probably gonna head to bed. It's I think it's almost 8:56, so I'm gonna do some reading and go to bed and see you guys in the morning. Sugar, tea, book, and a good, nice, cold afternoon, evening, whatever. It's technically after the noon, so, Anyways, let's get writing.
Foreshadowing is like a knob almost. Like, it's easier to turn up, but you can turn down pretty easily too. Mostly just due to the fact that foreshadowing, in most cases, it's just like a few lines that you can then just alter if it's too much. And if it is too much, you can also just throw in a red herring, which can be hard but doable. If people are guessing it way too easily, add a red herring, and if people aren't guessing it that easily, then turn up the foreshadowing. Because when you want the twist, the best feeling in the world as a reader is guessing the twist and it actually being interesting and unique and even deeper than you thought. Like, oh my god, reading something Wicked This Way Comes, going back to like chapter 1, he foreshadows literally everything in the story right away. And yet I didn't notice that until after I came back. That's what I want. I want people to come back to my books and like reread them and realize, oh my god, he actually foreshadowed that? What? that's the end goal anyways. Actually, the end goal is to have at least one person like my stories.
Oh my god. That's almost 1,500 words. Oh my god. That was like an hour and a half, I think. Wow. I really get going when I'm not like, distracted. This entire part was literally Strummer just getting beaten, which I've probably talked about, and then the introduction of the Giants, which I probably also talked about. So yeah, I will see you in the morning, see what else we do. I don't think anything else interesting should happen, so it should be mostly writing. Good morning, everybody. I've got my tea. It's like 9:28 in the morning. It's a beautiful morning, actually, because I have no class until later. I can just do some writing. It's actually going to be some very special writing. Let me show you. So as you know, I had like 4 books planned out. Kind of. I have like nothing on this page, so I'll work on that. But I got another one. I got another book idea, which is more of like the past. And I don't know when I want to write this, because like, it doesn't have a big influence. It's just more lore and, like, it was a fun idea. I might explain that in the time lapse. So, let's get to writing.
The Legends project is like what I would call it. It's anything that happens way before the current day of Staria, which is the current time, and the legendary Alicorn was something that popped up into my head because, well, there is no actual Alicorn in the story before, and I'm like, but what if there was? Like, Strummer has both wings after the mutation and a horn, and so joking about being like an Alicorn would be funny, and specifically the legendary Alicorn, which is the Alicorn that united all three races of ponies. I say that specifically because the zebras were almost hunted to extinction, and the bat ponies are currently hiding underground, which will be useful knowledge later, by the way.
Oh, okay. Oh my god, guys. So, I was gonna say we did a lot of words. We got like 500 words now, but I didn't realize Kate, who is a great authortuber and booktuber, did a trying to write like Ray Bradbury. What? She did it mostly through writing. I don't think we ever saw it because it's like a 1 week experiment. Funny enough, she has like stricter rules. First off, technically, I guess this would be more of your own preference, but he said to write a short story like not per day, but once per week, and so like the best way to do that would be like writing the short story over and over again for the first half and then revising it. The read a poem each day, essay, and short story are things that he really like strongly agrees with, like to do. I don't really like poems, even old poems. I do read short stories, mostly because of Ray Bradbury. And then the essay is another thing. He does read essays, and I think that's where he gets a lot of his ideas from. And then write one short story per week. That would actually be a fun experiment to just do for like a month, but I'm only gonna do that for a week. And oh my god, thank you, Kate, for for basically summing up what I'd want to do next week. Anyways. Let's get back. We got about 600 words in just these revised stories, like the legend. I think I called it the Legend of the Alicorn. No, Legendary Alicorn. Yeah, the Legendary Alicorn. Let's just zoom out so you can see. It's almost like a page long. It might as well be its own short story. Also, I added quotes to the beginning of all of them because each one does, except for Ash. I've already written most of it, so it doesn't have the quote at the top. We have the Silence No More. And then Seekers of the Divine, and then the Osprey's Revolt. Which, in the order of how I'm doing this, I'm doing Amidst the Ass first, because it's, I don't know, it's because I just had, like, the biggest inspiration for it. Silent No More actually comes next, just because I know more of, like, the mental, like, specifics of how that's going to go, because we're going to follow a character from the Silence, which is a government group, basically, as he revolts and joins the revolution happening in the city, well, the capital. And then the legendary Alicorn I'm doing next, because the legendary Alicorn would be mentioned in Silence No More, and they'll actually see the amulet that's hidden somewhat. Ooh, foreshadowing. And then Seekers of the Divine to come back to, the sequel to Amidst the Ashes, and by then I'd probably already have solidified Amidst the Ash, so, this will make more sense so I can actually, like, know what the characters are like. And then Osprey's Revolt just follows a person in the deer who then revolts and then fights back against the deer, and then the war ends because of it. Because, that now suddenly all the deer are revolting against their own country, realizing how terrible it was. Yeah, so 5 stories. I got 5 stories planned. Only one of them. And we're only on chapter 4 of, like, 21. Honestly, not bad. So I have a bit before lunch, so let's honestly continue, because I am really excited to get chapter 4 done, because if I can get this done, it's Friday. I mean, I can edit Saturday, and then we can start doing a Ray Bradbury thing. I already got this written up, so all I have to do is, like, rewrite multiple times and then polish it out. It's already kind of like Ray Bradbury-esque. It's like FNAF meets Ray Bradbury. It's kind of interesting. Anyways, Let's get to it.
But the legendary Alicorn was born of not Earth Pony, a unicorn father and a Pegasus mother, and they had to hide his identity, so he always wore something over his wings and lived in unicorn society where he could be like boxed up in a library all day and not seem weird. But he ended up revolting against that idea after his parents died, and then he went on and obviously revolted against not just the unicorn, but the Pegasus and Earth Pony governments. I can't remember which one, but one of them just gave up because they're like, wow, you took out the other two. And so then they had the peace treaty, and he ended up being more of this like figurehead. His name is Star, like Staer instead. It's more starry. Anyways, I think it's Star. I'll go with Star, just spelled weird. But the weird thing is, they have him as more just like a figurehead. Like, he doesn't control much as king, but he does oversee everything. He's more of like the head of the people. Like, he is just up there to represent everyone. Everyone below him talks up to him. It was very nice. He ended up having to give up his powers, sadly, because people kept coming for him. So he had to actually give up immortality. I'm a little loose on if it's actually immortality or just long life. But he had to give it up into an amulet, which no one knows about. No one actually knows he gave it up into an amulet, and no one knows where he stored it. I do. I'm not telling that part because that part is actually a big spoiler, because it actually explains why the current queen has lived so long. It's one of the two reasons why she's lived so long, and both of them are pretty big spoilers. So yeah, that's primarily what I worked on, and I might actually work on more of those legend stories, especially if I get, like, writer's block. Writer's block is big. I don't like it. I don't believe it exists. We just, writer's block, write something else. It's usually how I do. But having something else to do that with is great. Alright, so we got about like 1,000 words already today, so that's freaking amazing. I'm going to take my lunch break. Got a little instant ramen. And I will see you whenever that ends up being. I don't know if I'm going to continue writing today or not, so I'll see you later. I got myself a treat. Watching some videos. I'm doing some homework. Actually, all I need to do is line art for that, and if I get that done fast enough, I can work on some more of my book. Yeah. So I just got my homework done, at least one of it. I'm very proud of it, actually. I still haven't gotten all that drunk, so I might just finish watching Kate. Freaking great videos. Writing from high school, college, and beyond. Oh, the irony and the fact that I'm in college right now. My books probably aren't even remotely good. So I'm like half asleep, even though it's only 8. Oh my god. I'm gonna have such good sleep tonight. I'm so glad it's the weekend. But I so want to get this chapter 4 done, just so I can get it out. And so when we work on Kruger's Pandemonium Carnival for next week's Write Like Ray Bradbury, I don't have to worry about thinking about this. Also, I have organized the books into categories from Republic of Staria, which is the main series, like main series, to the Revolt series, which is more just like separate. Like, they're not actually together, but they are both like themed similarly. And then the Legend series, same thing. They're not like together, but they're all about legends, about the Alicorn, about Acid Flask who made Flash Tech, and about the Bat Ponies who are secretive. But I don't know what I'm going to do with that one. This one's literally just a fanfic I wrote that I can rewrite. This one I have ideas for. These two are the most solidified. And then, you know, these two I've also kind of got ideas for. But I haven't actually done anything like this for any of them. Shut up, Cracked. I don't know. Goddamn Chrome. Anyways, I'm going to try and finish the chapter, and we'll see where we're at. I still can't believe we actually got chapter 4 done in that entire sprint. like chapter 4 is probably so far the longest of the chapters, and that's more probably due to the fact that I actually embrace more of the Ray Bradbury writing style, and not necessarily like his words particularly, because I'm using newer words and he used like a lot of flourishes and descriptions, but I still use his feeling like and like being in the moment. I definitely write a lot like him. And so it ended up being thick. Like there are paragraphs of me just explaining how death feels and like just describing the giant in different kind of ways. Not like repetitively. I think that's the only downside I do not like about Ray Bradbury's writing is the fact that sometimes he repeats himself too much. Twice is okay. 3 times is getting annoying, but I have seen him repeat the same kind of description like 5 freaking times, and it can be a little annoying.
So we just got chapter 4 done. We got chapter 5, and we got a new title, On the Run. Yeah, if you didn't notice, I actually haven't been titling most of the chapters because the chapters have arcs. Chapter 2 starts with Nuclear Winter, and that goes from 3, 4, and then 5 is On the Run. Chapter 1 is called Genesis because, it's Genesis. Wow, that was a lot. Actually, I haven't checked. Let's check real quick. It's a lot. It's 2 pages, so it's like 1,000 words, right? Yes. Look at that. 1,000 words. I'm so tired. I'm so sorry. Oh, and I still need to like voice record some for the video. Oh my god. Anyways, I set up little inspiration notes by Ray Bradbury, just for me, because I need it. No, not because I'm tired, but for the days when I am. Anyways, I will see you tomorrow. Lazy Sunday morning. Wait. Fuck. Saturday. Lazy Saturday morning for breakfast, and I am all out of tea, so I should probably get to work. Okay, so I know technically it's not the beginning of the week yet. It's the weekend, but because it's Saturday, it's basically the end. This will be like the last thing that comes up on this week's video until next week's video, which next week will be the Write Like Ray Bradbury, which, by the way, I've got more notes because I've been reading Zen in the Art of Writing, and for that I'm going to be writing a short story. I was originally going to do Kruger's Pandemonium Carnival, but I got a little bit of inspiration from, I think it's Macro March, so it's like growth stuff. So yeah, I'm totally not just gonna write an erotica for myself and potentially sell that erotica. I don't know why I keep selling it on the blank page. Jesus Christ. Anyways, I think I'll inform you as much as I want to. Maybe. I don't know. Let's just get to writing.
So the story that I ended up going for the short story was not Kruger's Pandemonium Carnival, but I ended up doing can I even say erotic story? Technically, it's an erotic story, so I'm not actually going to talk much about it, mostly because YouTube, actually. But I will probably be publishing it on Kobo, which I have found, and Kobo is actually great. It's better than at least Amazon and even Google Play, and I can just publish ebooks there for free. So yeah, that's probably where this is going to end up if I feel like it's polished enough by the end, which honestly, with the fact that when I'm recording this, I have already written the second draft, I'm just going to say, for like spoiler's sake for next week's video, I think I might just publish it because I'm already 2 rewrites in. 1 rewrite in technically, but 2 writes in, and it's already good. So yeah, that might actually be happening. I'll be an author. Oh my god.
Oh man, that's a lot of words in 1 hour. 1,734. Well, actually about like an hour and 10, but technically I was doing a recording while that. But still, it's almost 2,000 words in one goddamn story, in one goddamn hour. But anyways, this is the story we got, about 5-ish pages. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, consider subscribing so you can join my journey. This is only week 2, and as I said before, we will be taking sort of a break from the Stario books. There might be some writing in there if I do, all the writing really well, which I doubt because, I have a test Monday, so It'll probably be mostly about the short story rewrite and write like Braid Bradbury, but still, it's my writing journey, so we'll see how this goes, and I hope you stick around. I'll see you next time.